Hi there. Thank you so much for tuning in to my show. I hope you've had a great week and enjoying the weekend if it's weekend for you when you're watching the show, especially if you're watching live. If you're watching live, thanks for tuning in live. I would love to hear your comments, questions, and where you're from. And remember, if I don't get to your questions during the show, which it's usually really hard to get to your questions during the show because we have multiple things going on, please don't be offended or anything. I usually read through them after, and then they're my inspiration for future shows. Which is the topic for today, was taken from a question that somebody asked a couple of weeks ago. Before I dive into the topic, I just wanted to say that if I look a little bit tired today, please excuse me, because I actually had quite a late evening. I had a really long day yesterday and I wanted to tell you about it. My friend Karine and I, we went to a place called Quartzsite, which is in Arizona. So I live in California, and we did a 4-hour drive yesterday morning, and we had this all planned. I woke up at 4:30 a.m. yesterday, and we packed food. We packed a picnic and everything in a cooler bag. We threw it in the back of her car, and she drove 4 hours. Thank you, Karine. Big shout out for Karine for doing that. And we went to this place, which is just this huge lot in a desert where people had brought all their different crystals. And the thing is, the prices were amazing, and the crystals were mined by people. It's like you actually meet the people who have mined these crystals, and it was just a beautiful, beautiful experience. And so with the 4 hours drive there and the 4 hours drive back, it was really late when we came back last night. But one day in a future show, I may show you some of my crystal collections, and I may speak a little bit about why I love crystals. But one of the reasons I do love them is because they're so, they kind of keep me earthed, because I find it more comfortable to live out there. I'm very much always connecting to to the other dimension or the other realm, and it brings me so much comfort to be connected to the other realm. But in order to live in this body and in this physical life, I need things that keep me earthed, but things that are appealing and beautiful for me, and things that pulsate with energy, that are alive. So this is why crystals, I just love them. I love wearing them. I love having them around me. So that was a beautiful experience for me yesterday. I'll be sharing photos on my social media posts, so please stay tuned for those if you're interested. Today I wanted to dive into a question that somebody asked me, I believe it was 2 weeks ago, because recently I've been talking about empaths quite a lot, and it's been receiving a lot of amazingly positive feedback. I even developed a little quiz to find out what kind of empath you are. So just a little bit of a recap so you know where I'm at, is that I think that not all empaths are alike, because we're all people. People are all different. But I also think that even being an empath or not is not a yes and a no question. It's like a scale. And I think that there are more empaths than we realize. And even the people who we consider who are not really so much an empath, they're not bad people. So I want to make this clear. I don't actually believe anybody is truly bad or evil. I do not think in terms of that there are evil people here amongst us. I really don't believe there are. I think there are ignorant people, but certainly not evil people. But I do believe that some people are highly empathic to the point where their feelings for other people, the amount of stuff they take on from other people is actually bigger than what they feel about themselves. And so that's where I say, okay, that's where we've crossed crossed the line into what I call being an empath. So here's what I mean, that where you've crossed the line into being an empath is when you can't differentiate between your own emotions and the emotions of the people around you, where you feel the emotions of other people as though they are your own and you can't separate them. If someone close to you is sick, it's almost like you feel it in your own body and you start to feel unwell too. So some empaths who are really like super duper empaths are they actually really take it on in their body. This is why, I mean, there's like a sliding scale. Then there are other empaths who know what is going on, who are fully intuitive. They're intuitive of what everyone else is going through, but they don't feel it in their own body. So they're able to go out and help people. Whereas the empaths who feel it in their own body, they kind of have to be a little bit more cautious or aware when they're constantly hanging around people who are unwell. So if you are an empath who is a healer or a teacher, you need to know that, are you someone who takes on everybody's illnesses or everybody's problems in your own body? Or are you an empath who is aware of everybody's issues, but you don't take it on in your own body? And so this is why so there's a sliding scale as to whether people are even an empath and fully intuitive and all, or not. And again, remember, I said if you're not, it doesn't make you evil or anything like that. It just makes you somebody who is able to operate focused or very aware of where your boundaries are and where other people end and where you begin. So it just makes you somebody who's very aware. But then there are people who are slightly empath, people who are more, and people who are full blown. So basically, for those who are empaths, I actually devised this little quiz, and we're going to put a link to the quiz again. Many of you have taken the quiz, and I've had amazing feedback from the quiz. And instead of just saying that, oh, you are 50% empath or 20% or you're this, you're that, we devised 4 little archetypes, which is what I call the dragon, the unicorn, the dolphin, and the sorcerer. And each of these, like say, for example, the dragon is and the sorcerer are empaths who are fully blown intuitive. They can tell what's going on with other people, but they don't get absorbed in it. They don't take it on in their own body. Whereas a dolphin and a unicorn is more likely to feel it in their own body. So basically, the quiz kind of helps you understand a little bit of who you are and where you are. It's just a very short quiz that asks you a few questions. And I'm going to ask Danny to put the link and Milena to put the link on my Facebook, and Danny will put it on YouTube later. But anyway, you don't need to have taken the quiz right now for me to talk about what I'm about to talk about today. I just wanted to recap that for new listeners who are listening for the first time. One of the questions I received is that if somebody is on the autism scale, can they still be an empath? Because the understanding is that people who are on the autism scale, they have no feelings for other people. They lack social skills, and they lack the ability to feel what other people are feeling. So what I want to say here is that it actually is possible to be both on the autism scale and to be on the empath scale, to be high on the scale of empath. It is possible to be both. At one point, I also thought that the more you are on the autistic scale, the less empathic you are. But I have seen that that is actually not the case. That's absolutely not the case. Just because a person lacks social skills does not make them less empathic. When somebody lacks social skills, there are certain things around them that are not allowing themselves to express themselves properly. But here's what I've noticed with people on the autism scale, including people who have Asperger's. What I've noticed is that they actually feel what other people are feeling. They know what other people are feeling, but they do not know how to articulate or express it. So sometimes the way that it comes across can come across really negatively or badly, or they are so basically, even with someone who's an empath, not all empaths are articulate or able to express what they're feeling. The other thing that we seem to believe is that empaths are all people pleasers and doormats because they know what other people are feeling, and so they want to make other people feel good. This is true for many empaths, but not all. So many empaths, and these are the ones that I call the basically, especially the unicorn empaths. They are the most likely to become the people pleaser empaths because the unicorns feel super uncomfortable if other people are uncomfortable, but the unicorns need other people to feel good in order to feel good themselves. And so they take it on themselves to make other people feel good. And so they become the people pleaser or the doormats. And so by being aware that you have a tendency to do this, you can actually counter it. However, if you are someone who is on the autism scale, there are other things at play which have nothing to do with being an empath. Other things at play that interfere with your ability to express yourself properly. So there are other things that cause you to act out, where if something is not in place, and it's a different kind of neural or mental condition or situation, where if something is not just the way you need it to be, it triggers something that causes you to act out. So the thing about people with on the autism scale is that I sometimes find that many of them are super empathic, but at the same time, they're not able to express it. So they are not people pleasers, they are not doormats. But if you enter a room with somebody on the autism scale and your energy is disturbed, your energy is frantic, and you are stressed out, let's say you're the caregiver of somebody who is special needs, who is on the autism scale, and there's someone that needs a certain level of care, and you are the caregiver. If your energy is very disturbed and you're going through trauma, the person on the autism scale will pick it up from you, but because they are not very verbal or communicative, they will not be able to explain it to you. They will not be able to go in there and say, oh, let me help you, let me rescue you, which is what unicorn empaths do. Instead, the person on the autism scale will act out, and they will act out perhaps even towards you, but they're acting out because they have empathically picked up on your energy being super stressed or in trauma or something like that. And as they act out, what happens is that you kind of think, oh my God, I am their caregiver. And you start to get even more stressed out because you feel, now how do I control them? What do I do? And as you get more stressed out, they're picking up on that elevated level of stress and they're acting out even more. So basically what I'm trying to say is that if you are somebody who is close to somebody who is on the autism scale, if you are a partner, a spouse of someone who has Asperger's, if you are a caregiver of someone who is higher on the autism scale, who has special needs, it's very important for you to have a very calm and balanced energy, especially when you are in the presence of someone on the autism scale, because what will happen is you will be triggering them energetically and you won't know what it is that's triggering them. What you will see is someone who's been triggered and you'll be controlling them, and you will be feeling more stressed out because they're being triggered, and they will their trigger will elevate because they are watching you, they are sensing you getting more stressed out by them, and as their reaction elevates, your stress levels will elevate. So you can end up feeding each other and going down this spiral if you are working with somebody who is on the autism scale. So basically, if anybody out there is either has a spouse or a partner who is even on the lower end of the scale, or is working with people on the higher end of the scale, your job is to take care of yourself and to make sure that you bring a calm energy. If you are the parent of someone who has autism, your job is really to be a calm self and to be really to unstress. It's a big lesson for you to work out your stuff, to work out your burdens and the stuff you're going through, and bring a healed self into the presence of the person with autism. And you will see that as you calm yourself, they will be calm and they will be easier to take care of. I have people writing to me who say to me that they have a child with autism who acts out, and how can they help the child? And really, when the child acts out, it's because they're picking up on the energy around them. And this is the case even with kids who are not on the spectrum. This is the case with any kids. Kids are sensitive. And when they act out, it's because they're picking up on the energies around them. And we try to discipline and control the kids when really we have to look inward at our own energy. We have no idea how much we affect the people around us. And we do affect not just kids, we affect our pets, we affect people around us. Having said that, there are a lot of people on the empath scale who take responsibility. So in other words, a very good thing to do is to take responsibility for your stuff. When you walk into a room and a reaction, whether positive or negative, is created, it's a very good thing to kind of see, okay, what part did I play in this? What can I do if I want to change my situation? So even if you are even if there is something negative happening to you, it's actually very healthy to be able to say, why is this happening to me? Why am I creating this? What is it I'm doing that's bringing it on? Because then it means you own your stuff. But on the other end of the scale, there are full-blown empaths who overtake responsibility. So in other words, something could completely not be your fault, but you still kind of go, oh my God, I'm so sorry, this is my fault. What can I do to change it? It's almost like you come from a place of apologizing for even existing or for even breathing. Be aware if you have a tendency to do that. That is like at the extreme end of the scale. I know I used to have a tendency to do that, where I would really take responsibility to the extreme, where even when it wasn't my stuff, I would take responsibility for it. So remember, don't take responsibility for what's not yours, but it's healthy to take responsibility for what is your stuff. Now, I'm just gonna, I'm gonna turn to speak about another topic soon, because it was because of an email I received from someone who wrote in. But before I do, I'm just going to turn to Danny for a moment and ask him if he has any comments or anything, because he's the one who kind of looks through all your comments and your feedback. And so I just want to give him a moment, or give him an opportunity.
There have indeed been lots and lots of people who are saying that, my God, what an interesting parallel you're able to draw between empaths and autism. There are people who are writing in saying that it's very possible that the autistic amongst us are possibly super empaths. Mm-hmm.
Highly possible. And just because those that are on the autism scale are not as great at expressing themselves and their emotions doesn't mean they don't feel it. They are reactive, as opposed to expressing through words. They are more reactive by what's happening around them. So absolutely. and they don't know how to respond to it. They don't know how to control their feeling. They're not able to, it's like those feelings are being exaggerated in their mind and their bodies, as though it's almost traumatizing to them sometimes when other people around them have very strong energies and emotions, when there's a lot of strong energy going on. So it can feel as though they're in a battlefield.
Perhaps it's just overwhelm, and it's not being able to know, all right, fine, there is so much coming at me, what do I do? It's almost a state of perhaps, I don't know, would you use the word paralytic?
It could be. I like the word overwhelm. It's overwhelm. And it's so when it's overwhelmed, what happens when you're overwhelmed? You shut down. And so you have the other kinds of empaths who are not on the autism scale. When they're overwhelmed, they go and rescue. Many empaths feel that it is their job to rescue people because they need other people to feel good so that they can feel good. But those on the autism scale, instead of going and rescuing, they shut down or they react. So yeah, it's just different reactions, but it doesn't make them any less empathic. So I loved that question, and that's why I wanted to spend a little time talking about it, because we seem to, there are many people among us who are on the autism scale who are not being recognized, or they are being misdiagnosed, if you will. Not that everyone, I don't actually believe everyone even needs a diagnosis. I don't think we are a diagnosis, but they're being misunderstood. That's a better word. They're being misunderstood. And they're being seen as antisocial and hostile, but that's not the case. It's just that they feel overwhelmed by the bombardment of emotions, I feel it's no accident that today we're seeing more people on the autism scale. We're seeing more people on the empath scale. We're seeing more and more, and everything is a scale. Nothing is black and white. Yes and no, you are or you aren't. It's all on a sliding scale. Nobody's black and white. But it's no accident that we're seeing more of that, because I do believe there is a tremendous imbalance of energy happening in our world right now, a tremendous imbalance. And so we are seeing an uprising of people who are not happy with the status quo. And we're seeing an uprising of them feeling like they need to come out and speak out, or there's more anger, or there's more acting out. And all that anger and acting out is coming out from the people who have in the past been the silent. They are not, I won't say a silent majority. I won't say a silent minority. I think it's a silent majority. I think that there are a huge number of people that in the past, because the noise wasn't so loud, they were quite happy to just get on in their world. But because the noise, being made louder by mass media and social media, has just, that volume has just continued to increase, that these silent people can no longer remain silent. These silent people are the empaths among us, the people on the autism scale, and a whole bunch of others among us, that they've now felt they need to step up and they need to make noise. And I think that even many of them are not even doing it consciously. It's almost like they are reacting spontaneously because they're just feeling overwhelmed. It's like a pressure cooker. They're like, oh my God, I can't take this anymore. And there's a reaction happening right now in our world. And I actually think the reaction, even though it feels uncomfortable for so many of you say, oh my God, how do I deal with this? How do I do this? And what do you have to say about what's going on? This reaction may feel awful and uncomfortable. But the fact that we are reacting is a positive thing. It means we know we don't want the way the things are, and it means we're ready to change it. And it takes all of us standing up together to change it, to see a different world. It really does. So I wanted to read out a letter that I received during the week, because last week I spoke about thought viruses. And so thought viruses are the thoughts that play on your mind. And I always, and one of the things I feel is that particularly if somebody is sensitive, the thoughts play on your mind even more. So just a real quick recap, and you'll get a gist once I read this letter as well, but just a little bit of a recap. is that if you imagine if a doctor puts a thought virus in your mind of you don't have long to live or something like that. Now imagine though, you have the ability to heal yourself. I mean, just think of what I went through. I was on the brink of death. I'd crossed the door into death. The doctors said that I was there. I wasn't coming back. Not even I have 30 days to live or 90 days to live. No, it was like they were telling my family, no, I am in the coma. I am there. I'm not going to come back. It was done. And yet I still came back, and look at me 14 years on. So I don't think anyone has the right to tell anyone that they're going to die. But it still happens. I still get letters from people who say or posts on my Facebook that say, my friend's doctor said he or she has 30 days to live. How can I help them through believing that? I actually get very angry when I hear that, because I don't think doctors have a right to say that. So that is a thought virus, because that prevents you from being your best self. That thought is what drains your energy, and you need that energy to heal. And if you are going through an illness, I would suggest you to watch one of my past videos, which is called The Trajectory of Your Wellness. I think it's called The Trajectory of Your Wellness and not The Trajectory of Your Illness. But basically what that is about is that you need, when you realize that you're unwell and you get a diagnosis, you need to focus on how to get from here to full wellness. You need to focus on the trajectory of your wellness. A doctor, a medical practitioner, usually focuses on the trajectory of your illness. They are focused on, if you continue to get ill from this point on, this is what's going to happen. And those are the thought viruses they are going to give you. You need to focus on the trajectory of your wellness. So now, oh wait, Danny's just sending me a message. And, oh, Elan, okay. So I wanted to give a shout out to Elan. Elan is a beautiful producer of events, and Elan is tuned in, and he has plugged in a lot of the followers. He's actually producing an event for me in Ottawa later this year, which I'm excited to do. The other thing I want to mention is Jennifer McLean was supposed to come on today and do a process for you. It was going to be a beautiful process for empaths. I'm going to see if I can get her on next week. She has texted and said that she has internet problems, and so she couldn't get on. So she apologizes for that. She has a beautiful process that I really want you to experience. So I'll bring her on next week for that. And so on the topic of thought viruses, so when you're plagued with the thought that I have to deal with the illness, what happens is it gets in the way. It starts to drain you, and it plays on your mind, and you lose hope instead of focusing on the hope that I can take myself from here to a better place. So you need to build up hope towards wellness. You need to take it on as information, like, oh, this is information, this is where I am now, but now that I know this, let me undo everything, or let me do things differently so that I can go from where I am now to optimum wellness. So anyway, last week I spoke about thought viruses and how they can affect us, and how we need to be inoculated against thought viruses. And I received this beautiful email from somebody, and I won't say her name in case she didn't want me to, but she says, I just finished watching your Facebook Live on thought viruses, and when you mentioned the lady that received the 0-stage breast cancer diagnosis, I spoke about a lady who received who had a mammogram, and she received a diagnosis of having 0-stage breast cancer, and that plagued her mind, and her doctors suggested that she have a double mastectomy. So and that triggers me. That makes me so angry, because you can so heal. In fact, 0-stage is not even a stage. It's like you don't even need to feel that you need to heal it. So anyway, So this lady who writes in, she goes, when you mentioned that lady that received the 0-stage breast cancer diagnosis, my heart stopped. I had that very diagnosis several years ago, but with a very different outcome. I do admit that I did have a lot of fear. And once you are in the system, the medical profession does not want you out of their grip. I chose not to have surgery, but to monitor instead, which meant mammograms every 6 months. I got the phone calls at home from doctors telling me that no woman takes the wait and see approach because they are afraid. They actually said that. See, this is the problem. It's that fear. It's the fear is the thought virus. I was told that the safest approach was surgery and I could have plastic surgery afterwards. Oh, that's the thing. Constant phone calls from specialists, hours on the phone listening to their statistics, explanations from surgeons telling me that they never phoned patients at home but wanted me to know how mistaken I was with my decision. See, the reason they never phone patients at home is because the patients actually fall for that fear and they actually do opt to go with what the surgeons and the doctors say. So anyway, she goes on, she says it went on and with them telling me, we have your surgery date scheduled, it's all set up, on and on. Instead, she booked an appointment with her chiropractor. So she says, I booked an appointment with my chiropractor who is very knowledgeable about nutrition and that we can heal ourselves with the right support. I talked to my naturopath who listened but would not advise one way or the other. I went to lectures by surgeons on the subject of 0-stage breast cancer and nutrition. I got my facts, became informed, and started a wellness program that I was comfortable with. I spent a lot of time outdoors, taking long rides with my horse, focused on the positive side of my life. My first 6 months mammogram showed no change in my disease. My second 6 months mammogram showed that the disease had disappeared. There you go. However, the radiologists were not satisfied with this and cited technical error for the reason and he could not see anything. But my third mammogram also showed no evidence of disease. 18 months had gone by. All the while I'm going through this, my horse that I had for over 20 years became ill. And then it showed the horse had a large bladder stone, which is a very rare condition. And it was not something that he could recover from. And he was too old for surgery. So anyway, what she believes, and I believe this too, is the horse became ill because the horse took on the energy for her, of her, that heavy energy. And I actually believe, to take it one step further from what she has said, she says she feels the horse took on her illness. And I actually feel she didn't have an illness, but it was the system, the medical system, that placed the thought virus in her head that she had the illness. The horse took on the thought virus for her, and this is a good thing. I want her to know this is a positive thing. It took it on so that she could be free. Because after her dog passed away, she felt nothing but positive, and she felt that her angels and guides helped her, like literally, because the horse that she mentions had a serious illness 10 years before. So the story is a little bit more complex. But the thing is, now she feels completely healed. She no longer has that fear at all of this. And she just feels angels and all around her. And many, many years have passed. And so she has moved on from this, but she wanted to share that because it was triggered by what I said. But what I also wanted to mention here is that she says a prayer every day to her body. And her prayer is, "Dear body, I know that you can heal yourself. I trust you, dear body, and you are a part of me. And now I let you do it. Amen." So I loved this letter because she overcame the thought virus. Her horse helped her overcome the thought virus. And I truly feel that for her, The virus she had to get over was the thought that she had an illness, because she actually didn't. So this is what I mean about thought viruses. I truly believe that if you are committed enough to be here and you really want to be here, any kind of illness in the right environment can heal. And when I say the right environment, you have to take responsibility for creating the right environment. You don't have to worry about how the illness is going to heal. You can bring in a team of people to help you, whether it's an NET practitioner or a chiropractor or not. Maybe you don't even need a team of people to help you, and you know your body can handle it on its own. That's entirely your choice. But I truly believe that an illness can heal given the right environment and the right surroundings. And when I say the right environment, it's very individual what that environment is. And it's a very, it can be, for you, it can be something that's diet and nutrition. For someone else, it can be something that has to be right in terms of their emotions and their thoughts. And so it takes so you have to really check in with yourself. What for you is the right environment? Is it about being surrounded by the right kind of people who give you the right kind of energy? Is it eating the right kinds of foods? Is it doing the right kinds of things? But your environment means all of it, everything, whether it is, so it's like your marinade. It's what you are immersed in every day. Given the right marinade, everything can be healed. But at the same time, for many of us, in fact, for all of us, at some point, we are going to die. We have to stop seeing death as a failure. We really have to remove that from our culture. When someone dies, they have not failed. They have transcended to another level. They have needed to move on from this level. They outgrew this level. There's more they can do from the other level. So when somebody dies, it is not a failure. When it is their time, when they're done here, they're done. You don't have to go before your time. What's happening today is thought viruses are able to take somebody before their time. You need to know that given the right marinade, given the right environment, you can change your circumstances no matter how dire they are, no matter how sick you are. You really can. That's what I really want you to know. And to find out more about my work, and I have spoken about all these topics, so please check out my other YouTube videos and my other Facebook Live videos. All my videos are on both Facebook and YouTube. So whichever platform you prefer to use, that's where they are. So I'm going to turn to Danny now to say, are there any final things before we finish off? Nope. I usually let him finish off. He has such a good finishing off voice. A great piece of news is that we finally have the website up for the cruise. We've had, I think, about over 1,000 people, you were saying, that were asking about the cruise. I think Danny did mention that. So
we had about 1,000 people who were saying, when is the website ready? When can we find out more details? When?
So I love that voice.
Yes.
That's his whiny voice.
Yes, it's the cumulative voice of 1,000 people desperate to get on board the ship.
Oh, that would be amazing to see them all on board the ship. So the cruise, it will be departing out of Venice, Europe, not Venice, California, in Venice, Italy.
Should I put up the slide?
Yes, put up the slide. And the topic, the theme is empowering the empath from the inside out. So it will be a 12-day intensive retreat where we get to spend time together out in the ocean, visiting different beautiful cities. So where you will learn the power of being an empath. You will be with like-minded people. More information is in the link. I don't need to go on and on about it, but there you have it. I'm super excited about it because it's a nice 12 days where we get to play together, laugh together, and immerse ourselves in deep journeys that will actually make us feel more powerful and recognize our gifts as empaths. And whether you come on the cruise or not, there's plenty of videos. Also, I want to mention what I spoke about a little bit earlier about autism. I have spoken about autism and taking care of people with special needs in my book, What If This Is Heaven, and how our energy impacts the people around us. So that I have written about that in What If This Is Heaven. And so until next week, I want to say have a wonderful week. I hope you enjoy my videos. I hope you enjoyed this one. Please let me know in the comments. I love hearing from you. Please click subscribe if you enjoyed this. Please check my past videos. Keep your questions coming, but also please know that I have answered many of your questions already in past videos. So please keep checking those as well if you haven't already. Thank you so much. And do I have to point below for anything? Nope, nothing below today. Okay, every week Danny says point below, but not today. Thank you everybody so much, and I can't wait to see you all next week. Bye.